Hamilton Tiger Cats are the final team in the East. One big question, Marshall Ferguson, about the Hamilton Tiger Cats that you know so well is what is going to keep them from going 13-1 in this 14-game season? I look at this roster, and we've talked about the quarterbacks before. They have the best quarterback depth for as much value as that is. Receivers, nonstop. Banks and a multi-purpose weapon in Addison. Well, Banks is a multi-purpose weapon. Plus, here's DeVere Posey. Plus, here's the first pick in the draft. Oh, by the way, we're covered at Canadian and American running back as well. Oh, by the way, we have the best defensive line in the CFL. Oh, by the way, Simone Lawrence and Javon Santos Knox at linebacker. Yes, please. The defensive backfield, fantastic. So what's the thing that's going to keep them from being 13-1? Is it needing to find somebody to replace Delvin Breaux, or is it the question mark that exists at left tackle? They're not going to be 13-1 because that would be it's very improbable that they are a 13-1 team. But I want to know what is the thing that's going to keep them from almost running the table this season, because I think this roster is packed and the coaching staff is all back, and what a huge benefit that is.
Yeah, that's huge. That's almost like, the Buffalo Bills that I'm a fan of when Brian Dable comes back as the offensive coordinator, and you're like, that seems unfair. Like, he shouldn't be an offensive coordinator still. Tommy Condell feel that way. Mark Washington's gotten looks for a while. Orlando's kept a lot of this stuff in house. So yeah, they're pretty loaded. They're ready to go. And for me, it's funny because I actually pegged them with a minimum of 2 losses just to the Argos. And the reason that I say that is the emotional exhaustion of playing the Argos 4 times. I know what Hamilton's locker room is like after they beat the Argos. I know what Hamilton's locker room is like after they lose to the Argos. I know what it's like pregame before Argos games, home or away. Like, I've been on the field. I've seen these guys. I don't know if it's this fallacy that they've bought in on, or if it's the old veterans like Filer and Simone and even Masoli at this point in his career being able to tell guys with knowledge, like, hey, these games are different. Hamilton, Toronto really don't like each other. The crowd is different. It's loud. It's angry. It's fun. But there's an emotional exhaustion that comes with getting up for Labor Day and the Labor Day rematch. And I've seen sometimes the third game that they play, whether it's start of the season or if it's after the Labor Day and Labor Day rematch, where sometimes it's like, oh, okay, this is a bit of a dud because they just can't they can't harness that anger and bring that to life 4 times. And so I'm looking at this and I'm going, I understand that Hamilton is the superior team on paper to 98% of people that will look at those 2 teams, despite everything Toronto has done to improve themselves. I still think that there's going to be some challenges there for Toronto to get up and to their credit, in 2019, they did it. And I was amazed every time that they did it, where they got it. It's like, let's go into Toronto and beat them by 50. Let's go into Labor Day and beat them at home. Let's go. And it's just like they got up for every single round, but that was 2019 and this is 2021. So we'll see if that happens. My one big question for Hamilton is if there is indeed a crack in the Liberty Bell, if there is something that's wrong, how soon will it show up and where will it show up? Because as you mentioned, it's no Riker Matthews. It's Delvin Breaux being gone. It's the middle linebacker position, Javon Santos Knox, yes, but it would be nice to have Larry Dean there, as you would have in 2020 if he was still around and didn't go to the Riders in free agency. And so the whole idea of, I think they're impeccable, but if they're not, when do we know, and where will that be? And the reason I say when will we know is that I think the Ticats roster is so good going into the season. Even if they have a bit of an issue here or there, whether it's, oh no, the field corner's getting blown away, or if it's the free safety, Tunde is really not disciplined with his eyes, or maybe, somebody's lost a step on the offensive line and all of a sudden there's, pressure coming from here. And I think the roster's good enough. It'll cover up a lot of any little flaws through 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Like, it might cover it up for a while. And my wonder is, because I think this is what we saw in the Grey Cup, and obviously 1 game sample size, not really fair, but there were flaws with that nearly perfect Hamilton football team. And Winnipeg took advantage of them, and they all came to life at the perfectly wrong time for Hamilton in a championship game. And I'm just wondering, are they, and this is the interesting thing about team building that I'm always intrigued by with coaches. My coaches in high school used to always say to me, we're going to work on our 5-wide package at practice today. I go, great. Are we using it against Bay Ridge Secondary this week? They go, hell no, we're saving it for the playoffs. What? They go, yeah, because we don't want to waste it. We don't want to show it. We don't want anybody to figure it out. We want to spring it on them. Okay. Well, next week we would go into practice. They'd say, well, we're going with our full house 4 running back package today. I go, oh man, we are going to beat up Napanee secondary this week, aren't we? They go, hell no, we're using it in the playoff. Okay. How much are we going to say? But they were interested in having fail safes for when things went wrong, when we needed a change of pace. They just built them in throughout the year so that it was like, we get into a spot where all of a sudden we got issues. They can flip a switch and go to something different. And I'm not saying that's going to be system-based for Hamilton, but I do wonder, what are they going to build in throughout the year so that if something does start to go a little bit sideways, they don't falter. They don't fall apart at any sense. Even if it's in the playoffs, they got to be able to have something in their back pocket at all times. The coaching staff is super smart. I know they know that. Ticats fans know they know that. I just wonder what that is and how they'll cover up anything that's kind of creeps up on them throughout the year.
Yeah, from a roster building perspective, they've got depth at Canadians. They've got depth in their American skill positions. They have a lot of quality players in that roster to make it through any of these injury problems that might.
Sure would be fun to be at training camp, but it's closed. That's unfortunate. I saw that from Steve Melton, the Hamilton Spectator, where he said training camp is closed. They're doing it at Tim Hortons Field. They are not going to McMaster. It is not open to the public. They are staying in hotel rooms. I mean, it's as much as we are making our way out of the COVID stuff, we're still very much in the COVID stuff. So having them go through all those protocols, it's like, man, behind closed doors, having that much talent, that feels like a real missed opportunity for us to see. But it also, in the age of team run media, it gives the Ticats exclusive rights to video footage of these intense training camp moments with all of these guys on the roster. So it's unfortunate fans can't get to experience it. I wish I could get to experience it, but it's going to be a good football team, and we'll see where they go.
Yeah, I think they are absolutely the favorites to win the Grey Cup. They have the easiest path to get there of any team. So it should be good for the Ticats this year.